Welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to be your guide today. We are jumping right into the ultimate classroom history lesson, looking at a figure of just unparalleled architectural achievement, immense power, and deep, deep personal tragedy. We're talking, of course, about Emperor Shah Jahan. Now, we generally know him as the fifth Mughal Emperor and the mastermind behind some of the world's most breathtaking structures. But his story? It's about so much more than just the monuments he left behind.
So, who is the actual man behind the world's greatest monument to love? You know, it's incredibly easy to just look back at history and see a monarch sitting on a throne. But Shah Jahan was a deeply complex human being. He was driven by profound passion, shaped by a totally rich cultural environment, and fueled by this really intense ambition. As we unpack the source material today, I want you to keep this question in the back of your mind. Because understanding his humanity is really the key to understanding both his magnificent rise and his devastating fall. All right, here's our syllabus for today's history lesson. We're going to start with his rise as a Mughal prince, move right into the pinnacle of his power during his golden age, explore the profound love, loss, and architecture that defined his legacy, then we'll analyze the steep cost of all that grandeur, and finally, witness the betrayal in his final years. Let's jump in.
Section 1. The Rise of a Mughal Prince, Forging an Emperor. Let's look at the environment that forged this young royal's destiny.
Born on January 5th, 1592, over in Lahore, Shah Jahan was thrown into an environment that was just dripping with opulence, but it was also completely rife with intense dynastic rivalries. He got a royal education that instilled a deep sense of duty from day one. Then, in 1612, a pivotal moment arrived. He married Mumtaz Mahal, forging a bond that would literally change history. Finally, 1628 marks his ascent to the throne. But getting there? Definitely not easy. He had to navigate some incredibly treacherous court intrigues. And when his father, Emperor Jahangir, started making highly erratic decisions, Shah Jahan actually engaged in a calculated rebellion to secure his crown.
Moving to Section 2, the pinnacle of power, the Golden Age. This is where Shah Jahan truly makes his mark on the world map.
Under his rule, the Mughal economy absolutely skyrocketed. We're talking extensive trade networks connecting India to Europe and Asia, bringing in just unprecedented wealth. But he didn't just sit on this wealth. He used it to create this profound cultural synthesis. It was a very deliberate merging of Persian, Indian, and Central Asian traditions into one distinctive, unified Mughal identity. This unique blend enriched literature, music, and the visual arts. He even rolled out policies of religious tolerance early on, which fostered a lot of harmony across his empire.
But, as we know, history is never just about politics and trade. That brings us to Section 3, Love, Loss, and Architecture, a monumental devotion. This is really the emotional core of our lesson today.
14. That number holds immense, tragic weight in our story. Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal weren't just married. They were a profound partnership. She was his trusted confidant, a key advisor, steering the empire's decisions right alongside him. But in 1631, tragedy struck. During the birth of their 14th child, Mumtaz Mahal passed away. The sources describe Shah Jahan as being completely, utterly devastated. Her loss plunged the emperor into a profound grief that actually reverberated through the entire empire, totally altering his personal landscape and the very foundations of his rule.
So to channel this immense, shattering grief, he initiated the creation of the Taj Mahal, basically achieving the absolute zenith of Mughal architecture. It was a massive undertaking. First, materials were meticulously sourced from various regions across the vast empire just to ensure the structural integrity and splendor. Next, artists crafted breathtakingly intricate marble inlay work. Then, the architects perfectly merged those Persian, Indian, and Islamic styles we talked about a minute ago. And finally, they integrated these serene gardens and reflective pools specifically designed to invite contemplation. It was a flawless, monumental expression of love and sorrow.
Now I want to pause real quick and connect this history to right now. Because the Taj Mahal isn't just a relic. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site facing very real modern threats. Today, there are intense preservation efforts underway to combat severe pollution and environmental degradation. Understanding the profound love and the sheer effort that went into building this structure centuries ago reminds us exactly why protecting this legacy matters so much for future generations.
Which leads us directly into our fourth section. The cost of grandeur, cracks in the empire. Every tragic figure has a fatal flaw, right? And Shah Jahan was no exception.
The guy possessed a grand vision, the Taj Mahal, the Red Fort in Delhi, incredible artistic patronage. But beneath that beautiful vision lay a very harsh practical reality. He allowed his emotional vulnerabilities to dictate his policy.
He started surrounding himself with sycophants and basically dismissing prudent advice. This kind of emotional governance, combined with his obsession with lavish monuments, caused a troubling disconnect. The treasury was being completely depleted, while essential things like agricultural support were just totally neglected.
Let's actually break down the specific data points that choked the Mughal economy here. You've got massive financial mismanagement and lavish expenditures directly diverting funds away from public services. To pay for all these gorgeous monuments, taxation started heavily burdening the local population. Meanwhile, resources and the influx of precious metals depleted as trade networks faltered due to internal conflicts. And as the population grew unrestful, naturally, the administration faced incredibly high costs just trying to suppress revolts and defend their borders. So the aesthetic legacy was beautiful, sure, but the administrative reality, it was rapidly decaying.
And this sets the stage for our final chapter, Betrayal and Final Years, a tragic end. The cracks we just looked at finally shatter the foundation.
If you map it out, this steep decline really traces back to 1631, when Mumtaz died, removing that crucial unifying presence in the royal household. Fast forward to 1658, Shah Jahan's military strategies are faltering badly against foreign invasions and the rising power of the Marathas. His troops completely lack morale. This weakness triggers a bitter succession war among his sons. His son Aurangzeb, who is a seriously formidable figure, uses calculated military strategies to outmaneuver his elder brother Dara Shikoh for the throne. And finally, 1666 brings Shah Jahan's death, which marks a massive shift in India's imperial narrative.
But wait, what happened between 1658 and 1666? Royal confinement. Aurangzeb didn't just take the throne, he literally locked his own father away. Shah Jahan was imprisoned in the fortress of Agra. The historical sources paint a deeply somber picture of his final days. The once mighty emperor was left in isolation, haunted by his past decisions, and basically forced to watch the empire he built begin to fracture under his son's strict new policies. Facing declining health, his final poignant wish was simply to be buried beside his beloved wife, Mumtaz, in the magnificent Taj Mahal, reflecting on the ultimate ruin caused by his own ambitions.
And that brings us to the end of today's lesson, leaving us with one final tough question. Was Shah Jahan a romantic visionary, or was he a flawed ruler whose ambitions broke an empire? He left us the Taj Mahal, an eternal symbol of love and artistic brilliance that literally still takes our breath away today. Yet his reign highlights the severe vulnerabilities of power, economic mismanagement, and familial strife. It is a brilliant, messy, and deeply human legacy. I want you to weigh the costs of his grandeur for yourself. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the history behind the monuments.